Well, so we're back. Mama V is here. Mama V, good morning to you.
Oh, hi, good morning there.
Right.
Welcome to 3rd of September.
Yeah.
Thursday, 3rd of September.
Good day.
2020.
We're
the year
inching
of our
closer
Lord.
to December 7th. That's a good thing about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Election 2020 will not be the same because of COVID-19. A lot of things haven't been the same. But I can't quite say it won't be the same, would it? I mean, when it comes to elections, nothing changes.
I think you just have to look at how the registration was patronized for you to make those conclusions. And even when we hit town, we give the mics to ordinary Ghanaians.
It's the same, COVID or no COVID.
It's the indiscriminate flouting of the protocols. It's as if we've never... You should go to the heart of Makula. You get to.
Well, I guess, you know, when it comes to certain things, for instance, economical stuff, when it comes to hand to mouth, when it comes to election, voting, people don't think about any other thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking about the purpose.
Survival.
If you're hungry and you need to survive, then, you know, nothing else matters. But welcome to the news review. Shall we say good morning to our guest reviewer this week, Amnesty International's Robert Amwafo. Good morning to
Roberto.
you.
Good morning to you. How are you all?
Charlie, we did good.
We're doing good. Yeah.
Okay.
How is Amnesty International? You know, we haven't... Let's spend about 30 seconds talking about your organization.
Okay, so Amnesty International is a global human rights movement. And what we do is to ensure that countries protect the rights of all persons, and we conduct research to make sure that everything is in place when it comes to protection of human rights globally. So we are in about 150 countries around the world, and we are a membership organization. So Mama V and Roland, I'm enrolling you as members of Amnesty International right after this
You're
show.
a membership organization? I didn't know that.
It's a member, yeah. So members enroll, and it's really members who run the organization. We are just the face as staff, but the board that makes the main decisions are members who decide on what human rights issues in the country we should look at, and then also how much money we have, because globally it's our members who donate to run the organization. So we don't fall on raising funds through proposals. Our members donate around the world.
Okay. Now that's the catch, right? Because I was going to say, before Roland joins, you have to tell us if we have to pay dues or not. Now that you say members contribute, I'm afraid Roland can't join.
Oh, our dues is about 20 CDs a year, and we have people like Roland who can donate any more if he wishes.
Okay.
Robert, you know what? You know, Mama V likes to disgrace me all the time.
No.
But I have a very good friend who is always assuring me that things are on the right path so far. And that if I join such organizations like Amnesty International, the Ghana chapter, I'm well assured that things, he's got my back.
He'll pay your dues for you.
Yeah, even if I'm in some financial difficulties.
But we're happy to join, Robert. Thank you for the invitation. We're happy to join. Okay, let's do the newspapers now. Traditionally, I stick with the Daily Graphic newspaper, but today I've also got the Business Finder. We've got the Daily Heritage, the Ghanaian Times. We've got the Vanguard, the Daily Dispatch, the Daily Guide. So we're going to be doing all those papers for you. Let's start with our guest reviewer. Robert, take us through the papers that you have.
Okay, so good morning. I have the Vanguard first, tagged with truth and integrity. So let's hope what they are telling us are the truth and is bound by integrity. No corona test at Kotoka. That is what is on one of the first things in the corner of the paper, the right corner of the paper. Shan tribal bigots. Nana admonishes Ghanaians. They don't have the page here, but I wish there was a page so that we could, but we can check inside the paper. 3 NDC officials took off over 15 million Ghana cedis to the state, which is an interesting thing. I was watching the Parliamentary Accounts Committee on TV, I think yesterday, and it was an interesting thing to see how people are siphoning money in some of these venture capitals and government-run companies. It's something that we really need to look at. Failed MPP PC diverts families $400,000 to Men's Gold. Page 3, we are never finishing with Men's Gold, you know. And we have the Daily Heritage. Ex-CEO, others begin refunding money to state. Security agencies losing respect on page 3 of the Daily Heritage. I think an expert is talking about how some of these security agencies are now becoming common people, and what we saw last time with soldiers being beaten and all of that. It's quite sad that the uniform wasn't able to scare people. Show us your work. Concerned youth of Asante challenge Akufo-Addo. EIB trains reporters in election coverage. Page 2 of the Daily Heritage. That's where you find that story. On the back page of the Daily Heritage, we have CAS throws out Palmer's case against GFA. I will continue following on Roland for some of these stories.
You're very spot deficit.
Very, very, very.
Oh,
if there was a better mention.
I think we need to audit your knowledge spectrum so that when it comes to sports, we'll have to give you a chaperone, a henchman.
You see now, I'll pay consultancy so that you use that one to pay your dues in amnesty.
Oh, Charlie, you have followed Mama V. I'm disappointed in you. I followed you on social. I'm going to unfollow you.
I thank you. And we also have Keto critical calls for unity at 26th GFA Congress, and it's very happy. It's very a good thing to hear that GFA is coming back on its feet, and we hope that we continue building it stronger and stronger. We love football, and we want to see a great GFA. The Daily Dispatch is another paper that I have, and it's have on it. I have my feeling, but tribalism not part of them. Akufo-Addo says. We also have on it an interesting thing that I've been mentioning a lot of the times during my time with you. Closing down which camps is impossible. Gender Minister explains, which I disagree with her. I don't think this minister is really serving us when it comes to this area. And I think that we really need her to push up as they are going for the elections, and we really need to question the government on their plan, especially when it comes to elderly people. On this matter, especially elderly women. It's unpatriotic. Hajide to minority over threats to report a Japa deal to London Stock Exchange. That's on page 11 of the Daily Dispatch. My final paper, which is the Ghanaian Times, we have government to clamp down on witch camps. I wish this minister very well, but I don't see. I hope that she works to do this as she promises. President has sought for construction of phase 3 of 5 district water schemes at Daklo, and that is on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times. We also have Park Direct CMC PAA to retrieve 312,784 Ghana cedis from defaulting staff. In the center spread of the Ghanaian Times, we have the story of the minister talking about the witch camps, and we also have the same story on the front page, which talks about the President Captain sought for some water schemes in Adaklo. And then the senior minister office receives COVID-19 donation. We are still receiving donations for COVID-19. Finally, on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, we have CJ opens Amasaman Court Complex. I'm on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. And this is an interesting thing to hear, because justice system in Ghana is something that we really need to look at. As a human rights advocate, I think one of the things I'm going to ask a lot of questions for the politicians during this election is their commitment towards increasing courts, judges, and all of that, so that people can trust our justice system, and that will reduce instant justice a lot. Finally, KMA to lose 30% revenue, and that is on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Back to studio, I'm done with my papers.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Let's continue with the daily.
One thing I've loved about Robert, gradually he warmed into this whole art of reviewing, and it looks like today is Thursday. He's ending tomorrow, unfortunately. But you're now so good at it. I'm thinking of hiring you.
We will serve you breakfast tomorrow, Robert. That's what Roland is trying to say. Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic. COVID-19 hikes debt service costs. Government re-strategizes for rebound, according to Deputy Finance Minister. But I've got to ask the two of you, Roland and Robert, if you have a misunderstanding with your partner, how do you resolve it? Which is normal, really, but how do you resolve it?
You talk about it.
You talk about it. Okay, Robert, how do you resolve it?
And then you buy chocolate and some wine, and
Robert, you don't look like someone who is romantic, but your words seem to ooze some romantic ideas.
You guys are very sophisticated. Unfortunately, that's not what happened in the case of a 53-year-old who had a misunderstanding with his 50-year-old wife. He just pulled a gun and shot her.
Oh.
Yeah, and this according to neighbors.
And what did he do to himself?
He killed himself.
Wow.
He killed himself.
Oh,
neighbors say they told the police that when he realized what he had done, he shot himself as well. But apparently it's a trend. Let's go to the headline is on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. It says farmer 53 kills wife 50 commits suicide.
Wow.
And the police in the Bono region say that this is actually a trend. It's worrying the rising incidents of spousal murder, particularly in the Nkran Kwanta area where this incident actually occurred. So this is the Bono Regional Police Public Relations Officer speaking to the Daily Graphic. He explained that over the past 2 years, about 6 incidents of husbands killing their wives had occurred in the Nkran Kwanta area, with all of them still under investigations, although the circumstances under which they occurred had made it difficult to make any conclusive findings. He said there was the need to unravel the mystery behind such happenings in order to find a lasting solution to those heinous crimes in the area. Certainly, if you have a misunderstanding, I mean, no matter how deep it is, pulling a gun and shooting your partner is definitely not an option. Also on the front page, MTN versus NCA, Communications Ministry welcomes court ruling. Why won't they? Especially when it went against MTN. In the center spread, construction of the whole Sokode dual carriage bypass and the upgrading of internal roads on the campus of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho Novolta region have started. Gender Ministry formulates policy to protect alleged witches. Embrace change, innovation in your careers. That's a call by the Vice Chancellor of the University of Professional Studies, Professor Bednego Okoye Amate. Details there in the center spread of the paper. We turn attention to the back page of the Graphic. Efiam Kwanta Hospital receives supplies from USAFRICOM. And the Ghana Standards Authority hits market with aflatoxin campaign. What is that? Well, it says the GSA has begun a campaign to sensitize food sellers and consumers to mechanisms to prevent aflatoxin contamination and its negative impact on human lives. And let's see, according to the World Health Organization, aflatoxins are poisonous substances produced by certain kinds of fungi that are found naturally all over the world. They can contaminate food crops and pose serious health threats to humans and livestock. It attacks crops throughout the production chain, especially when non-resistant seeds are used for planting without proper cultural practices and good mechanisms. So certainly this kind of education by the Ghana Standards Authority is appropriate. Let's do the Business Finder. Front page, pensions. ICU rallies support for SNIT to enhance operations, beef up payments. Food prices to remain low, according to ESOCO. Details of that on page 5, a little bit of it. Commodity prices will continue to fall this month. Agricultural research firm ESOCO has projected. And according to ESOCO, this is because it is still the harvest season for most of the commodities grown down south of the country. This is going to increase the volumes that are supplied to the market, causing prices to fall. ESOCO reported that at the end of trading in the month of August, there was a general drop in commodity prices. Tomato prices plunged by 41.69% to close at 330.50% per crate. Pona followed with a drop of 9.07% to close at 815.50% per 100 tubers. The price of Gari reduced by 6.02% to close the month at 223.14% per bag, with fresh cassava also losing 4.12% to close at 139.50 per bag. And then a bag of maize, 1.13% to close at 62.43%. So that's details. They've got prices also for the local rice, and then more on maize. You can check details out in the final newspaper today. Roland Walker, begin the walk.
Yeah, straight away. Let me just not for me not to waste time. Show you front page daily guide. Oga, kidnapping is our business. Witness tells court. Oga, kidnapping is our business. Very interesting human interest story. It's on the front page from the court as well, filed from second year by Emmanuel Poku. And then we have rolling set for NDP Congress. Venture capital NDC gurus shared 14.7 million. That's still ongoing case with Daniel Duku in the center of it. Nana Paris tribal agenda claims witch tortured with chainsaw. Now we have a number of stories also on the back page full of sports. It's about CAS, that's the Court of Arbitration for Sport, quashing Palmer's case against the election that took place to elect the KET administration. You know, he was not involved, so we questioned it. Daily Statesman has this front page for you. Daily Statesman, NDC appointees refunding stolen cash. Looters of 17.69 million want to avoid jail. Okay, so there's always play bargain in a way. Mavi can tell us a lot about it, about play bargaining. So there's nothing wrong. It's part of the judicial system, and but you know, First Lady commissions health center at Kwame Num. Meanwhile, down there, we're government to construct safe havens for alleged witches. Hey, I promise. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it now.
Safe haven. This whole issue of witches,
Amnesty International, you know, they are usually also at the center of.
Yeah, we need to find a way. Robert, let's talk a bit more about what you were saying when you did the review. You talked about the gender minister not doing enough in that area with regards to the witches situation, and you disagreed with her saying that it was impossible to close down all the camps. I think the reality really is that when you are discovered to be an alleged witch, if they call you that, sometimes you don't know when the people in the community will come for you. And I'm told that it's the chief who will normally make that pronouncement, and the people may come for you, and you may not be able to live in the community, which is usually the case. So the reason for the camps, this is like a place where you can go to, an alternative, because you no longer have a home. You no longer can live in the community. You no longer can live with your family. So what's the alternative for this? I don't know why. I would say, I mean, this is a crime, right? This is outright crime. I don't know why we're pampering people who are committing crime, and we are saying that we can't close down witch camps. I feel the priority really is to deal with perpetrators of these crimes, deal with them as the books say we should.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I think that is what we are hoping that our minister was going to focus on, which is working with the law enforcement institution. Because like you mentioned, before we knew that the chiefs were the people who were supposed to pronounce, or the priests, the chief priests in those areas were supposed to pronounce that. But now people just pick a stick or whatever they have in their hand, and they go with the priestess or priest to the person's house. The chief sometimes doesn't have a hand in all this. They go there, and then because I dreamt, or that you were in my dream and now my child is dead or my child is sick and cannot get some healing, I come to your house and I butcher you or I beat you up, and I have the support of the community because they believe in witchcraft and the potential of it. I think that the minister is not approaching this as strategic as we hope. Especially, we are not seeing any long-term plan because this is not something that we believe can be solved now. And in my interaction with the minister, I made it clear to her that as we plan for a long-term solution to this, we need to put in place certain measures to ensure that whilst we are doing that, women are not beaten in that process. So the need to engage the systems that already exist, which is the NCC, SHRAJ, and the social workers in the ministry. Because the idea is that if you want to change something, you need to work with the community and the people who live in the community. But if you make pronouncements without engaging the people and just thinking in some breath you say that we'll close it, in some breath you are saying it is not possible, then you are not giving us a clear direction as a state representative of the issue that we are addressing. So for me, there are solutions. The solutions lie in the fact that we get our government to get our systems to work. The police, when they arrest people, the community leaders do not go to the police station and say, because this person is my nephew, please release the person. And then that's what perpetuates the thing against the elderly women. And because it's against women, and if you understand the demography and the way the North works with women, it's something that also has something to do with how these people are treated. So for me, it's a bigger thing. We need a strategic plan towards it. We need to think about it. And I always tell them that it's not throwing laws at a problem. It's about also putting money available and the skills needed available to end this situation. So for me, I think that the minister can do something. We can't close down the witch camps, but we need a long-term strategy towards ending this.
All right, with that said, what will be your pick, Roland Walker?
Yeah, my pick definitely has got to be a story that the Daily Dispatch has about Nana Danko Kufuado during his tour of the Volta region, one of the areas, saying, I have my failings, but tribalism is not part of it. And we know that the political parties have tried to play mini cards against each other when it comes to which candidate is standing, etc. I remember vividly from 2008, Nana Danko Kufuado was tagged as somebody who is a drug addict, is a womanizer of a sort, is intemperate, etc. And then John Dramani Mahama too was tagged with various WhatsApp audios, etc. That he's of nothing decent, he's a womanizer, he's a drunkard, and that his flags always had a lot of gin or alcohol or spirits in them. And then we had a lot of things being said about the current president because of what has happened, the deployment of the soldiers along the borders within the period of registration, that he's a tribalist, etc. And on the other side also, there's still John Dramani Mahama also being tagged with a lot of things about the fact that he's a womanizer, he's corrupt and all that. The point is, when it comes to the electioneering, a lot of things tend to go on. But we need to know that in this Fourth Republic, we have outgrown some of these things. Look, this is instigated by the elements in the two top parties we have, the NPP and the NDC. So while the president is saying this, and the opposition, as John Dramani Mahama is also saying the other words to themselves or the electorate, they need to call their henchmen, their people, to order. It's the best way for us to end all these things about tribalism and then tagging each other as being womanizers and drunkards. Well, it's not nice. People, we look up to them. At the end of the day, they tag each other with all sorts of names, but they want us to take cue from what they intend doing for us when they become president, and so go elect them. I don't know how that tend to rhyme in their mind and also with us.
I just feel that around this time, when an issue comes up, we should get quick reactions. So if you want to dissociate yourself with something that has been said out there, do it quickly, once it comes, so that we know that you're not entertaining the thoughts. but don't come back later on when that issue is even gone down to dissociate yourself. But I totally agree with you, Roland Walker. We've gone beyond some of these things, and we should discourage, if somebody sends you a message spreading that kind of information, you shouldn't continue to also spread it. I mean, you should discourage people from even sending you stuff like that. This time, we're dealing with issues. Thankfully, we've got the manifestos, so we can talk about the issues in the manifesto. That's what we should be concentrating on. We're waiting for the NDC's manifesto, which will be launched on Monday, September 7th. Robert?
Quickly pick on the first issue you began with, asking us about the romance issue. I think that yesterday you talked about the rape issue as well. For me, there are things on my heart, especially gender-based violence and violence, spousal violence. Some few years ago, we did a media scan of the issues of gender-based violence and violence against in relationships, toxic relationships. And I think that we push this into the back and people do not really pay attention to them, but they are really happening, you know, and people keep them to themselves and they get the sad parts of their thing. I'm sure this relationship, when it started, there were signs, clear signs that there were some toxic things, but as we always know, our community saying, oh, it's nothing, be in your marriage and all of that. And it caused a lot of people a lot of damage. And for me, I think that we should raise it up and talk about it, especially when it comes to women and gender-based violence. And the police should stop asking people to go with their forms. And then the doctor should stop asking for money when rape victims come to the hospital. I think it's a sad thing. It's reducing reportage of rape and sexual violence. And I think that the government needs to do something about this.
Okay, rightly said, Robert. We thank you very much again today. Let's party tomorrow, Friday, when you join us. That's the Executive Director of Amnesty International, Robert Amoah, for joining us for the review. Please pay attention to page 15 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. The National Science and Maths Quiz has been duly launched. The balloting has been done. We've talked about it. But if you want to find out where your school is featured and which school they will be competing with, there is a publication in the Daily Graphic, page 15. Catch up on that. Good morning to my friend in Asia, Godfred Goba, and of course, Mr. Alexander Kweku.
Which part of Asia? Which are the first one?
Japan.
Japan.
Yeah. Oh, you see Japan? I said Japan.
Japan.
All right, stay with us. We've got sports. Messi simply won't go away. Messi is still in the news, but there's also updates with Osei Palmer's case, the verdicts as it was delivered. We're going to be breaking it down in sports for you. There's also the US Open. There are some updates, some fallouts as well.